One of the things that got this podcast started in the first place was the fact that I was involved in a panel in KubeCon in Detroit in 2022. One of the people who happened to be involved in that panel is named Heba. She's an amazing person, and I'm very grateful to have her in my life. A source of strength, a person who we want to see getting the idea through her head that she should not have imposter syndrome because she's absolutely incredible at everything she does. Also at self-reflection, about digging deep and figuring out what's going on, and also how she can pay it forward and help others out. Heba's also aware of the fact that there are limits to that, and that you got to take care of yourself in order to be able to take care of others. I really enjoyed this conversation. I'm sure you will too. And I always look forward to having a chance to interact with Heba anywhere I can, whether it's in the CNCF, talking about all the stuff she's doing related to open source, or talking about these kinds of things like the conversation you're about to see. Check it out. What is up, everybody? It would be totally inappropriate to have a podcast about ADHD and not invite someone who was with me in a panel last year in KubeCon. Feels like it was 10 years ago or 10 minutes ago. Her name is Heba. I'm very grateful that we got connected and happy to have her with us today. Heba, how are you doing?
Yeah, doing well. How are you?
Very, very good. It's good to be here. So people may know you, they may not know you, but can you just give us a little bit of background about who you are and also about your ADHD story? How did that get started?
Yeah, so I'm Heba, a software engineer working now for Microsoft, part of Kubernetes community, love open source. Yeah, I've been engineer since, I don't know, 2006, something like that. Yeah, I'm a mom, now live in US. Yeah, so this is about me. About the ADHD, I was struggling with ADHD for a long time, but I didn't know until 2.5 years ago. So thanks to the pandemic, actually, I had more time to think about what's going on, why I cannot concentrate, especially when, I started to really, feel like there's something is not going well. When I started to join the Kubernetes community and learn about Kubernetes, and it was like very interesting to me. But for the first time, I found something I really love it, but I couldn't still concentrate, couldn't read books, couldn't stick, at my desk to learn more. And in this point in my life, I felt like, okay, there's no excuse this time because it's not something boring. It's not something, I forced myself to do. So I figured, okay, I need to talk to some therapist or, I need to seek help. What's going on? Because I got very depressed, very anxious, and felt like, I cannot achieve anything. I'm a loser. You can relate, of course.
Yep, it's all sounds familiar. It's the Bar Pearl bingo.
Yeah, done. So, and when I, started this journey, I discovered that, when I was in high school, I started to get really, hit by the ADHD symptoms, which is, if I am, listening to, one of the courses or, attending anything for a long time, I started to feel asleep, I fell asleep. It's like, it's not like I don't, I don't want it to learn this, but it's like I cannot concentrate for that long time. I need to shift my position from time to time. So you can talk to my family, like I used to study in really weird position. For example, putting the book, on the floor while, I'm going, upside down. It's, stuff like that. I need to listen to, some music all the time. So during all this, I was, always called by, you're not concentrating. Hey, Heba, try to push yourself hard. Hey, Heba, you're not following the best practice to be like a good, a good, student. But I figured out, no, it's not like that. I just have ADHD and I need to seek help. And since then, yeah, just started my journey.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
Is there any advice that you would give to yourself if you could go back in time, saying like, "Hey, now that I know what this process is like, there are probably some important things to keep in mind." Is there any advice that you would give to your former self or to folks that might be starting out in that process?
Of course, I would, have like an empathy a conversation with myself. It's like, hey, you got this, like you can do it. It's just you need to know yourself a little bit. You need to give yourself slack. It's like you just need to know the best way that you can treat yourself, so you can get the best results. um, people people have like different ways to shine. So just like find your way, and take it easy, step by step, day by day.
Very good. I think it's interesting too, is that being people that naturally might be impulsive and, expecting results, and also being able to be productive, working on these things and expecting results. But perhaps what I've learned is that it's something that the results will show themselves in a different way, perhaps not in ways that we might be accustomed to. What would be some concrete things that you would say in terms of, take it easy, take it step by step, this part about empathy? What's worked for you?
What worked for me so far, I'm still in progress. Like I don't know what is the magic plan yet. But I have my to-do lists. My calendar is my friend. So everything I need to do, even, like buying something or taking a medicine or anything like that, it's on my calendar. So you can see my calendar. Oh my goodness, it's like every couple of minutes I'm doing something new. So this helps me a lot. It's like someone reminds you of, like all the time to do stuff. Otherwise, you will forget. The second thing, instead of saying yes, because I would be so excited all the time, so I will not say yes. It's like, okay, give me a second to, like to think about if I can do this or not, because I will overcommit all the time because I'm so excited. I wanted to do that. Really, I wanted to do that, but it's just matter of time. The second, like third thing, find another way like to get the knowledge you want. So, for example, for me, reading books, unfortunately, it's not possible anymore. But like the hard copy is better than soft copy. So, and like having a marker or anything like that, so I can like draw a star, anything to remind me. Having music in my background, it's really helpful, and finding a community to let you know that, hey, you're not weirdo. You can do some stuff, uh, and find the job that suits you. So instead, like for me, I cannot have a regular job from 9 to 5, going every day doing the same task and go and leave. I would never do that. I cannot. But like find something that like have different pace, or like different tasks during the day. This what,
Very
and
good.
of course the medicine. Without it, it's hard.
It's a different combination of factors, and going back to what you said in the beginning, calendar. Common topic of conversation in these podcast recordings is about trying this app or that app. But for me, that hasn't worked. Maybe for some people it has. Calendar definitely does work. Having lots of reminders and just I know if it's there, then I don't have to have the stress of knowing that I have to memorize everything or that all has to be in my head.
Yep.
Going back to a couple of other things, so that you mentioned the importance of music. What kind of music do you listen to when you're working?
Two types of music, either just like symphonies or soft music. this is my, like what I like, or Arabic music, because it's easy for my mind because I know them all. So it's just like old, or like authentic music. So I know them all. So it's just like having them in my background. They don't take much compute my like to process this in my mind. So, but soft music is my favorite. I have like a very huge list of all symphonies and piano music and stuff like that. That I love. Yeah.
All right. Well, two things. You play the violin, correct?
Yeah, I used to. It's my favorite time. So yeah, when I was in school, this was my main, instrument. I love it. I used to play it a lot. And yes, I used to play some symphonies as well. Maybe this is why I relate to that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And in terms of Arabic music, for folks that might not be as familiar with it, what kind of recommendations would you have? Kulsum, Feiruz, or more modern stuff like
I love your
Tamer
part.
Hosni or Ahmadiyya? What kind of stuff are you listening to?
It's Fairuz and Kulsum. These are my two favorite. For new folks, from time to time, but it's not while I'm trying to concentrate. To be honest, I feel like the like the music is very fast, and I wanted something to just like make me relax. So Kulsum and Fairuz is a good suggestion for anyone who loves music. To be honest.
Yeah. And also both will often feature violins, so you'll get a little bit of that in there as well too.
Yes.
It's a good combination. Now, in terms of, you are very, very active in what you do in open source. And at the same time, something that you mentioned in your speaker form, and that comes up a lot as well too for folks with ADHD, is imposter syndrome. Tell me more about that, what role it's played, how you're dealing with it now, any recommendations you might have.
Oh my goodness. I was just thinking about it. I wanted to mention it as well. So the imposter syndrome is really maybe the hardest part. And when it, like when you combine it to being a highly sensitive person and, like having an ADHD, so it's like a nightmare. So, yeah, I used to feel like not included. I used to feel, like not welcome in any place, even if I'm, like attending anything with my friends, or, like I know they love me, but it's like, oh, like I feel awkward all the time. So, and because sometimes I would be late, I might not, like being that responsive to messages or calls, because like I have this ups and downs, like an anxiety and stuff like that, because all the time I used to feel like not accomplished, like I'm not there yet, like this is always in my mind. So this imposter syndrome, it was like still hitting me from time to time, but I'm not doing that because, like we both in the same community, but training for this community makes me feel really better. So they welcomed me. I still have people just, like helping me reviewing the PR, making sure that, like I'm comfortable and still, like before going public. And, like there are a lot of, like small tasks. So it's like, at your like at your convenience, like it's like you cannot, you shouldn't actually work at the same pace all the time. So I can like do something like in a very fast pace. Sometimes I cannot do that, so I will take my time. So this helped me a lot. And having someone to have this conversation with, feeling that you're not like the only person who suffered from that, this helped me a lot. And speaking up, so like get outside from your comfort zone and say, hey, like I feel like I have imposter syndrome right now, like I feel like no one like likes me, or like no one like wants me around, and people will just like start to approach and say, hey, like it's not like validation, but it's just like if you feel if you found someone just crying. So the imposter syndrome, it's something like that, but without crying, without any external validation. So just like reach out to person who you can like figure that it has they have imposter syndrome, and just say, hey, you are welcome. This is enough for me. Yeah.
I think that's a great point. And it's something that's been very beneficial for me since the very beginning as a non-technical person in a very technical area. That people are insistent on being welcoming is a very clear indication of what values are present in these spaces, and that it could be for many different reasons, but that nobody wants anyone to be suffering. And
Yeah.
that those are things that can be addressed and should be addressed. And that's something else as well, too, is that you're someone who really likes to help other people. And where, something that, and there's also, and, this, I've seen a couple articles about this. It doesn't mean it's hard scientific facts, but that people with ADHD often have stronger senses of injustice, which will mean a stronger desire to help others. But where do you draw the limit when it comes to helping others at the expense of not taking care of yourself? Is that something you could talk
about? Yeah. So, actually, I've talked a lot about that with my husband and my friends. So it's like I feel like I'm myself when I help other people. When I help them, making sure that they are not suffering alone. If they need to talk, they have someone to talk to. This is really important to me. It makes like the whole difference, like a new word for me. Not because I'm kind or no. Like just like it's not that like that. This is for me. It's like it benefits me. I need to help others. I need to make sure that others are okay, are good. Like I'm not suffering. Because like I feel like no one should walk in the same way I used to be. Like alone at least. So this fits better in open source community. So I think people just need, like to know the initial step. Like they just wanted to know which door to knock, and they would knock the door. They would continue by themselves. But sometimes they know, like we have these three options, and we should, like go to one option, like option one or option two. But they need someone to just, like be there while they, like taking the first step. So enabling people are really, really important. You can enable people by talking to them, being there, just being there, helping them technically, helping them emotionally. There's a lot of ways to help. So just try and just think.
Yep. I think good advice there. Still want to dig a little bit deeper, though, about when it becomes over the line of, yes, you're helping somebody else, but neglecting your own needs. I ask this because I struggle with it. It's like, if I'm taking care, I associate, I'm very bad at taking care of myself in general, but I associate it, it's like if I'm taking care of myself, then it means I'm being selfish or I'm not caring about others and things of that nature. Although I know that one thing doesn't necessarily mean the other.
Yep.
How do you create limits around
that? I'm not good at this yet. So
we can work on it together. That's good.
Yeah. So I'm not good at this yet. So there's different aspects. So I'm getting better. Like by just getting emotionally involved in different topics that I cannot. There's no one can do anything. Like the natural disasters or like war news, stuff like that. I used to be just devastated all the time. Like with each new, like news. So it's like now I'm trying to do my part and telling myself, hey, Heba, this is all what you can do. Like give yourself slack, and like you need to live your life. So this is like one aspect. Second aspect, it's like, okay, I need to help when I can, but at the same time, I started to just put like time limits or a scope for how can I do that, because sometimes like you will spend like your whole time doing that, and you will feel like just like your energy just drained, so you don't have any energy for yourself. So just what I did so far, it's just scope, or like do like time limits that like the time that you can give to others, so you're not empty by like by the end of the day or the week.
Well, I think it's a great starting point. And like you
Yeah.
said, is that even if it's just small, radical 180-degree changes in my experience don't happen. And if they do, may not happen for very long. So just thinking about what are the small steps that can be taken, I think that's great. So I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Yep.
You mentioned as well that's something that you're really good at. So I think it's helpful and healthy for all of us to think about things that we're good at, because at least in my case, oftentimes having a very harsh critic and assuming that I'm doing everything wrong. You said that you're really good at connecting the dots. What does that mean?
So I learned this phase from my mentor and my previous manager, Paul Bauer. So he taught me how to connect the dots. So he taught me how it is important that, okay, everyone knows everything, but sometimes, like you need just to introduce this idea to this person. So because he's better when, like if he knows this idea, so he can work on it, or maybe just introduce two people to each other, or two ideas, just connect to like these two ideas. So because for example, in the open source, I can give you an example to that. So I recall I had a conversation like with one of the, like maintainers for one of the open source projects, because it was really good project. But just, like if we could, like have an implementation, which is like 5 lines to a specific library that, like would have like a whole work to like to this project. And I didn't do anything. I didn't do that, like I didn't implement, I didn't do anything. I just pointed the maintainer to this library. And once he implemented these 5 lines, I can see, like the hype with people who, like adopted the project. So this is my idea about connecting the dots, connecting idea with people. This, like connecting people to the way that, like can, like do something better. So all these are, like dots all around the place, all around the world, actually. So just make sure that people know, like people know about different ideas or different people, other people.
And I think that, the panel that we did in Detroit about ADHD, it wasn't the first time that this topic had been addressed in the cloud native ecosystem or even in KubeCon, but we had people there from all over the world. And I think for some that were in the audience, when we got to the point about, are there any questions? And a ton of hands went up. Many more hands that we could possibly answer in the time that we had, which is unfortunate. But I just want to know, like, what was your feeling before doing the panel as well as afterwards, conversations that you may have had? What difference did that make?
Before the panel, I think you can just, like have the checklist of everything we've just talked about. And it's like, like exists. So I felt like this is not important to anyone else except me. I'm doing this because I don't have anything else I can do. no one would benefit from that. No one can, no one cares about it. But I was so shy, so anxious. It was my first time to be in a panel. So it was like a disaster. And we decided, I recall that we decided not, like preparing anything. So it was just like natural thing. For you, I know it's like it's usual. But for me, it was like, oh my goodness, what should I do now? But during the conversation, I felt, like it's like, oh yeah, like they have the same thing, like I was thinking about, and especially, like the panel, like the other panel members. And I started to see some sparkles, like in, like people's eyes when we started to, like talk about the, like the symptoms, what we suffer from, and, like how it was before and after diagnosis and stuff like that. So I started to feel a little bit comfortable to share more. But after the panel, it was, it's, like it was unexpected, to be honest. Lots of people, like addressed our points. They came, they talked to us, they asked for more resources, asked for more help. I recall a couple of people asked to, like have one-on-one with me, just, like to share some of their, like their stories and their struggles, and, like how we can overcome these struggles. It's not like just, like we are here and we are not moving. But I felt like by sharing this, it's people will, like people, again, not feeling alone, like this is the most important thing. So I wanted to help more if that's possible.
Yeah. In terms of your ADHD, in terms of how it plays out, because, in every case it's different, what would you say is the thing that still, I don't want to say the word bothers you the most, or that you still feel is more of a challenge than you'd like it to
be? Can you elaborate more about this question?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would say that because it's just been a recurring topic of conversation that I didn't realize that, in my particular case, that the hardest thing about since getting diagnosed has still been around being kind to myself. And that I didn't realize how big of a part that played, because I thought most of ADHD is like, oh, it's about, concentration and focus, and which obviously, a lot of it is. But the part of emotional dysregulation, being very sensitive, being terrified, being rejected, always going to the worst case scenario, and being very hard on myself, is something that I didn't realize, and I wasn't told either by any mental health professional, that, that was something that, because it's going to be a process, it's going to require patience. You're not going to get everything right the first time. And, it's only been a year since I've been kind of doing this, and talking about it, that if I could recommend anything to anyone, and I just say it just because it's been a frequent topic of conversation, and that it's still a significant challenge for me, about how can I be nicer to myself in a meaningful, genuine way where I feel like it's creating an impact. And it's not that I don't try, but it's that I feel that I'm not getting the results that I'd like to be getting based on how much time and energy I've spent on this particular aspect. So I'd just like to know, what are the things that you're looking forward to making more progress?
I think knowing what I'm capable of, what time is available for each of these things I am capable of. Put some priorities on all these topics. Put one of the highest priorities should be myself. So it's like, okay, this to-do list Heba that has 15, 20 items. It won't happen today. It won't happen this week. It might not happen this month. So not because you are, you have a problem, but because you are really optimistic and you wanted to do everything. So be realistic. Please. Again, time box everything. be realistic and take a break. And sometimes I started to notice that because we had like a very long history with not achieving anything. When you feel you started to achieve, you can burn yourself out, because it's like you are so happy and you wanted to just like take this moment and not letting it go. And you have to be very aware that you can burn yourself out. So it's just, again, take it easy. Take it easy. I think, this is the most important thing. And be kind before be kind to others, be kind to yourself. There's nothing wrong with you. Just take it easy. This is every time I'm trying to say that.
I think it's great advice, and that, we would all like these things to go that quickly, just in the same way that I make lists that have 20, 25 points and I don't break them down into smaller tasks. And so then I start getting really frustrated. They're like, I'm not doing all this. And it's like, well, nobody can. Like you said, it's very optimistic. If you're going to take the time to make the list, take the time to time box the things that are on it.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
That's very, if I actually start doing that, you're going to get a lot of credit for it. That's great. What about in terms of resources? I think something that you mentioned early on, which is something that I didn't realize early on, and which is one of the reasons also started the podcast, particularly because of being diagnosed in Spain. So that just was a little bit different. Like, I don't know other adults who have ADHD. And so one of the things for me that's been very helpful has been having conversations with other people. And I'm really grateful to be part of the cloud native community, which is much more open about this topic, I think, than other spaces perhaps. But what have been the best resources for you?
The resources in the CNCF Slack channel was a good place. It was a safe place to, share some ideas. In my company, there's Teams channel specifically for that, and we have a very famous ADHD channel now with a lot of ideas and a lot of how to tackle that, how to get yourself better by living while you're experiencing something like ADHD. I cannot recall which YouTube videos I followed before, but there was like a very smart doctor with ADHD. I can send you the link after that. And again, away from all these resources, try to seek an open conversation with any one of your friends circle, or any one of the community, actually, if you are, because it's easy, and you can relate to a lot of problems when you have the same field and when you have the same type of work, maybe type of lifestyle.
No, I think because you already have this much in common based on the things that you're doing. Adding that other part of it, it definitely makes sense. That's great. I think I might know a YouTube video you're talking about. I think I started and I couldn't get through it. So once I thought that, I was like, oh, this is an hour. This is an hour and 20 minutes. There's no.
No, actually, the other one I was talking about, I think he knows us very well, because the YouTube video, it's just like a couple of minutes, so it's
Yeah. My previous psychologist said to me, she's like, just watch this video, and I was like, who are the few people? It's funny because recent American YouTuber made a video about ADHD, and someone tagged me on Twitter. I was like, hey, you should check this out. And it was 10 minutes, and that was
no way. You don't know me.
Exactly. It's like, you may be a talented YouTuber with millions of subscribers, but you don't know me.
Yes, exactly.
But I got through it. Anyway, Heba, this is fantastic. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap it up, in terms of advice you give, whether it's with work, whether it's with family, anything that's been beneficial that you think other folks should know?
I think you've covered everything I can think about. Just in general, please like be kind to each other, because this is very important. You don't know if you think about, like people's struggle. Sometimes they will, like show as, like very confident and, like talking very happily, but you don't know. So just, like like be kind with each other, and let me know, like if I can help anyone, please. This benefits me. So it's do it for me better.
Yeah, great advice. Always remembering though that just because if someone asks for help, you say, "Hey, I'm definitely happy to help you. I've got to take care of myself as well. So these are the ways in which you can do it." In the same way you can time box tasks, you can also be very transparent about the kind of help that you can provide, so that it doesn't create any misunderstandings. I say that as someone who's just not taking care of themselves in the process of just giving lots of time, and sometimes it's bad for both sides.
Yep.
So just be you can be clear about it, and also in all these cases as well, say like, look, I'm not a mental health professional. I'm happy to listen to you. I can't necessarily provide precise solutions. I can give suggestions, but I think that it's just about being open and taking that first step. And I think what's what we saw in Detroit and what we see with each one of these conversations, that if it makes a difference for one person, even just for 1 minute, then it's totally worth it. So I think that's a really beautiful aspect of this. I do need to get Rich and Farah on here, as well as Waleed, who was not able to join us in Detroit. And he was the one that put it together. So massive shout out to Waleed.
Yeah.
And anyway, Heba, we're also big fans of everything that you do. Do not suffer from imposter syndrome. You should be suffering from hero syndrome, if anything else. But such a big fan, and love your energy, love your honesty and your transparency, and you're a gift to all of us. So keep being that gift.
Thank you. Thank you, Bart, for everything.
All right. We'll see you soon.
See you.
Cheers.
Bye.